Thank you for joining us for Social Security Benefits for Women, everything you wanted to know about Social Security but didn't know who to ask. I'm Mary Staver, Human Resources Executive for Royal Neighbors of America and President of the Royal Neighbors Foundation. The missions of both of our organizations are to provide women the opportunity to build better lives for themselves and their families. As a 501c3 public charity, the foundation is dedicated to building women's futures through financial education. And our goal of the foundation is to reach out to women across the country and provide them opportunities and resources they need to help them become more financially secure. Tonight, we're really proud to partner with certified financial planner Lauren Lyons-Cole to bring you valuable information on how to manage your finances and secure your financial future. And tonight, we're talking about a very popular topic, Social Security benefits and how they affect women. It's through your generous donations made to the Royal Neighbors Foundation that we're able to do this and to provide to so many throughout the nation free of charge. These webinars are exactly what women need to remind themselves of the responsibility to take charge of their financial futures. If you feel you already have, that's great, but there's always more to learn. So now I'd like to hand it over to Lauren to give us a better understanding of Social Security and what it means to us as women. And Lauren, we've had so much interest in tonight's topic. It seems the viewers are really taking charge of their financial futures in this way. So take it away, Lauren.
Thanks, Mary. I'm so excited, as always, to be doing another webinar with the Royal Neighbors Foundation. It's so wonderful to partner with an organization who cares about educating women about their finances. And there's a lot of interesting statistics coming out lately that say, you know, we're really far behind still when it comes to these things. So I appreciate all of you taking time tonight to join us to talk about Social Security, and I hope that you learn something that you can use, and I hope that you pass along whatever you learn to someone else in your life, because there's probably other people that have the same questions that you do. A few technical things I just want to point out. If you have any questions as we're going through this, please feel free to send us a chat. We do see that, and we'll try to answer whatever we can live during the webinar, and anything that we do not get to, you can always get to either the Royal Neighbors Foundation or to me through our websites, or even easier through our Facebook pages. So I encourage you to check us out there as well. And I do also want to point out that Social Security is one of the most complex financial topics, which is probably why we had so much interest in this webinar. So as we're going through the information tonight, keep in mind that your situation might be different. It's always important to talk to somebody specifically about how to maximize what your strategy will be, but hopefully we give you some information so that you can get those conversations started in your life. And again, you can always send questions to the Royal Neighbors Foundation or to myself. Another thing we're going to do tonight is that we've actually got some polls so we can get information from all of you who are listening as we go through the webinar. And I just want to throw up one to start with right now so you can get some practice. If I know we've done these in the past, some of you know how to do this, but for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we're going to throw up a poll question. I'm wondering if someone's going to do it, or should I put up the poll there? Okay, thanks. So the first poll question is just a test question. Just want to find out how many people are in your group listening tonight. Is it one person, or do you have a small group? Sometimes we've got, I know we have colleges sometimes who join us, and we've definitely got a few little groups there, and votes are still trickling in. So for a lot of people, it's just one person, but we do have some bigger groups listening. So hello to all of you. Feel free to say hi to us too in the chat. Hi, Judy and Pat. Glad to have you with us tonight. So great job, guys. You figured out how to do the poll. Perfect. So now we'll get started. What we're going to talk about tonight. We'll start with what Social Security means to you. And when I was thinking through this webinar, I was thinking about how this is one of the most American topics we could be covering. You know, Social Security really impacts every single one of our lives. And obviously, if you're not collecting Social Security, you know about paying Social Security. So we'll talk about why we do that. And then when it comes to actually collecting Social Security, we're going to talk through what you need to know before you retire, what to do when you're ready to retire, what that transition will be like, and then what happens if you have a special situation, which a lot of women experience if you become a widow or if you get divorced, because there are actually special rules with Social Security. So we're going to get through all of that tonight. Social Security, you know, it's incredibly important for women. 56% of Social Security beneficiaries over age 62, which is the earliest age you can begin collecting retirement benefits, are women. So more than half of the Social Security beneficiaries are one of us. And by the time we get to be 65, 2/3 of beneficiaries are women, which is just, it says a lot to me. I think it's really interesting. We've got a lot of women, whether, you know, probably a lot of divorced women, women who are widows, and then women who are married, women who are single. It's definitely an important benefit that each of us will benefit from. A concerning statistic is that 80% of women, 4 out of 5 women, will claim their Social Security benefits before they reach full retirement age. And this is a problem because delaying payments, the longer you wait to start collecting payments, the more you end up receiving on a monthly basis. And as we all know, women on average live quite a bit longer than men. Our life expectancy is longer. So delaying those payments can make a big difference in our quality of life as long as we live. Now, what happens when you get to full retirement age, for most people, that's about age 66 right now. It's kind of a moving target. So depending on your age, it could be a little bit later. But let's say it's 66 years old. Every year that you postpone claiming Social Security benefits, your monthly benefit increases by 8%. And if you think about this, that is a very good return that you can't necessarily get in the stock market, especially this year. We haven't earned 8% in the stock market this year. So knowing that your monthly benefit will increase just a little bit every single year that you postpone can make a big difference if you live to be, you know, 90 years old or even older. So it's important to understand Social Security well before you start collecting Social Security, and that's what, you know, we'll hope to cover all of that tonight. And for those that are asking whether or not these will be available later, we'll absolutely make the slides available, and also the webinar is being recorded. So if you want to go back, if you missed something, if you have a question that you want to reference, you will be able to do that. So good question, Natasha. Thanks for joining us. So I actually want to throw up another poll question here, and I'm really curious about this. With Social Security, I don't know if you've noticed, but we do get a statement mailed to us once a year, and in fact, I just got mine really recently, I think last week. So if you have noticed that before, I'm curious to know, when was the last time you checked your Social Security statement? Do you check it once a year when you receive it in the mail? Do you have an online account, which is something we will talk about? Or, you know, maybe some of you don't even know Social Security statements exist, although you guys seem to, most people seem to already to know about it. So, all right, so it's kind of split. Looks like people are definitely opening the statement when they receive it in the mail, which I'm really glad to know. And some of you have an online account, which is definitely something that I recommend. In fact, I have an online account myself, and so the statement that I just recently received was via email, which was very, very convenient. So retirement benefits, the benefits of paying for Social Security, right? When you get that statement, what you're understanding is how much you've earned in the past year, and also calculates over the course of your lifetime, and how much you've paid into Social Security, and how much you can expect to receive from Social Security when you begin collecting benefits. So it's actually a pretty useful piece of information. I always like to open it because it's a nice way to see, you know, how your income is done over the past few years. It's just, you know, it's a good tracking system. When it comes time to claim Social Security, the earliest age you can claim retirement benefits is age 62. Most Americans claim Social Security around this age. This is the most common. This is called pre-retirement age. So you haven't reached 66 yet. You're cashing it in early because you've had to leave the workforce, or because you want to leave the workforce, or because you need to make ends meet, or whatever. A lot of people do this at 62, and if you can avoid doing it at 62, I really want to encourage making that decision. When we pay Social Security benefits, Social Security taxes, it's not just retirement benefits. We can also get disability benefits, and you can even get survivorship benefits if you're a younger family with children at home under the age of 16. So there are other benefits that come along with it, which if you have a special situation, it's good to look into that. There's also benefits even for the children of disabled workers. So there's really a lot of benefits that people don't know go hand in hand with Social Security. So if you're in a situation, whether you've got a disabled person in your home or someone who is retired or even deceased, it's worth looking into. And the best way to do this is to create that online account and find out what is available to you. There's also great telephone numbers you can call. The employees there really want to help you understand this process. Obviously, like most government things, there's a lot of paperwork. It's not necessarily the easiest thing, but it is a worthwhile thing to pursue if you need it. Medicare taxes is another thing you've probably noticed on your pay stub every other week. And that's something that you can cash in once you turn 65. There's no early claiming for Medicare. So just be aware, and I'm sure anyone who's approaching age 65 is definitely getting the mailings and starting to understand Medicare and how it works. And that's something that is beyond the scope of the webinar for today, but if you have questions about that, by all means, let us know. Now, before you retire, so whether or not we have anyone who's young listening, like by young I mean in their 20s, so the rest of us are all thinking more closely about retirement than someone who's very young. But no matter what age you are, you really should be thinking about Social Security and making sure that you're making good decisions now. What do you need to know before you retire? Well, you need to work for at least 10 years to qualify for Social Security benefits on your own. Now, this is an important point because you can also qualify for Social Security benefits if you're married for 10 years and your spouse works. So you don't necessarily have to work to qualify for Social Security, but if you do work and if you do want to have your own personal Social Security benefits, it's got to be 10 full years. And then your Social Security benefit is calculated based on your average lifetime earnings. So if you had a few years where you were out of the workforce or a few years where you worked part-time, not working as much, you could see a decline in your overall benefit that you receive when you're retired. So it's worthwhile to negotiate for a higher salary and to earn as much as you can for very many reasons, but also one of that would be because it is calculated into your Social Security benefit. So there's a wide range of amounts that people receive on a monthly basis. Lots of people receive just around $1,200 a month, which might sound very low. It goes up from there, it can go up to over $3,000 for a married couple, but at the end of the day, Social Security really should not be the only thing you're counting on in retirement. You need to also be saving in your 401k, using an IRA. Perhaps you'll have to sell your home, and there's a lot of different ways that you want to think about saving for retirement. So Social Security is not the only answer, but it is a really important component for many of us. Now, to create an account for your Social Security account, I really encourage doing this. You just go to socialsecurity.gov, the URL is right there, /myaccount. And you go through, obviously they're going to ask for your Social Security number. This is a secure website, it's okay to put it in. They're going to verify your identity and then open up an account for you. It's very similar to using online banking where you can see, same thing you can see on your statement where you see how much you've earned over the past year. There's so many great tools they have where you can calculate what you'll expect when you come to retirement. You can see how many years you've worked because it's not very easy to keep track of how many years you've worked necessarily, especially if you've come in and out of the workforce. So this is a really smart thing to do, and I would encourage everyone to do it as soon as we're done here tonight. You can also estimate how much your retirement benefit will vary depending on when you decide to start claiming it. So like I said, you can begin at age 62. Your full retirement age is probably around 66, and you can delay it for as long as until age 70. Now, you can also claim it starting at age 75. There's no last call, right, with Social Security. You can use it at any point, but there's really no reason to delay beyond age 70. After age 70, the benefit amount no longer increases. So at that point, you just need to go ahead and cash in on it. For most women, delaying benefits until age 70 is the best thing to do, and I'll show you why. This is a chart that demonstrates the variation in how much of a benefit you'll get at different ages. So if your full retirement age is age 66, let's say your benefit amount is $1,000, and this chart actually came from the Social Security website. Most of the information in this PowerPoint tonight is all available on their website, as well as more details if there was a special situation that applies to you, like if you're a young family with a disabled worker at home. So if your benefit amount is $1,000 at age 66, if you claim early benefits for Social Security at age 62, you can see here that your benefit amount goes down to $750 amount. And this is important because it doesn't change. It will be $750 every single month, indexed to inflation, so you'll see ever so slight bumps every year based on however much inflation changes that year. But this is about the amount that you're going to have for the rest of your life. Now, if you wait until 66, when it's your full retirement age, to start claiming your benefits, you'll get $1,000. Same thing for the rest of your life, indexed to inflation, so that means slight increases every year. If you can delay 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, whatever, every year that you delay after age 66, your benefit amount increases by 8%. So delaying until age 70 will leave you with $1,320 every month until you pass away. Now, I want to throw up another poll question here just to get people thinking about how old. I mean, it's kind of dark topics, especially on a weekday evening, but it's important to think about your expected life. There's the poll, great. How long do you think that your life will last? So how old did your oldest family member live to be? And I've got a few different categories there, from age 60, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, over 100. Wow, already 3 people have said they have someone who lived to be over 100 years young. That is really impressive. Quite a few of you, the majority of you, had someone who lived to be in their 90s. And we're seeing a lot of people in the 80s, which is actually the average life expectancy for women. So that's not surprising. What is actually surprising to me is how many of you have had someone live to be into the 90s or even over 100. And I have to throw in here a personal story. My great-grandmother lived to be 102. She was born in 1899 and lived until 2001, and she was quite a strong woman. She was on many levels, physically and mentally and emotionally. So it's really important to think about these things. And I know it's not always the most fun topic, but for me, with my retirement planning, because I have a great-grandmother who lived to be 102, I have to plan and expect that I might also live to be that old. In fact, people are living longer every year. I could live to be 105. I might live to be 110. And these are the kind of things that I want you guys to be thinking about, not just how does Social Security work, but how long do I need to expect to be able to afford my lifestyle once I'm no longer in the workforce. So as you can see, for most people that are listening to this webinar tonight, waiting until age 70 is definitely a good decision. It's a very prudent financial decision. Now, there's a lot of different strategies you can use to make sure that that's possible in your life. And for some people, it's not going to be possible, and that's okay. But if it's not possible, you have to calculate your retirement living expenses based off of a lower monthly amount. Between age 62 and age 70, that amount is not quite, but almost double, and that's a big difference, I think, in the quality of life that you can maintain. So today, if we're just talking about 2015, a woman turning 65 will, on average, live to be 86 and about a half years old. So when we're looking at this graph, waiting until age 70, some people might say, but wouldn't it be better to start claiming Social Security at age 62 or at age 66? And if I don't need that money, I'll invest it and allow it to grow. Well, sure, that's one strategy. It's not a terrible idea, but this is the sort of thing that's very mathematically solvable, right? So if you were to take the money at an earlier age, it's possible that that would work out better for you in the long run. But if you're one of these people, myself included, who have family members who live to be in their 80s, 90s, or over 100, it's probably not going to work out best for you. So even if you take the money and invest it, the numbers vary. Of course, it depends on your specific situation, but it's about age 82, 83, maybe 84 is generally seen as the break-even point. So if you wait until age 70 to take Social Security and you live to be 82 or 83, you will have done better and made more money from the Social Security Department than if you took it at an earlier age and tried to, maximize it yourself. Because remember, delaying every year gives you an automatic guaranteed 8% return. And you can't find that these days. So there's a lot to be said for that. The problem is, how many people can wait until they're 70 to start taking Social Security benefits? So many Americans are dependent on this in retirement, and it pays a huge chunk of their living expenses. So this varies, right? If you're 60 right now or in your late 50s, my advice would be different than if you're in your 20s. But I think this is something good to start thinking about. Wherever you are in your career path, if you can figure out a way to continue working until you get to be age 70, that is the best case scenario. And, if your health isn't in a good place, I can understand not wanting to work that long. But if you're young at this point, still pretty healthy, starting to think about an encore career or even choosing a career path that allows you longevity so that you can keep working for a long time is really something to consider. The last thing you want to do is get to be age 62 and not have any choices. So this is all, financial planning is all about having choices and knowing where you want your life to go, what your expectations are. And, even if, let's say, you've saved up a lot of money, I'm going to answer this question that just came in because that's a good question. What does it make a difference if you're not working but wait until age 70? It doesn't. You can wait until age 70 to start claiming your Social Security retirement benefits, whether or not you're still working. But what a lot of Americans find themselves in a situation where they claim the benefits early because they need the money. And so the financial planning strategy here is to make sure that you're in a situation where you can make that choice. So saving more for retirement when you're younger, choosing a career path, or anticipating an encore career that will allow you to continue to have earned income so that Social Security is not the default option. Okay, so when you get closer to, and again, we are going to go back to talking about divorced women and also widows. So for any of the special questions about that, we will get to that later on in the webinar. And then there are a lot of strategies if you're a married couple that we can touch on it and certainly talk about, I think, in the questions section, because it doesn't necessarily apply to everyone. But when you're ready to retire, there are a lot of strategies that you can implement to make sure that you're maximizing your Social Security benefit and that you're taking care of yourself. In retirement, a shocking thing is that statistically speaking, we're going to spend about $250,000 on healthcare in retirement. And that's above and beyond our regular living expenses. So Medicare will help with some of that, of course, but it's really important to have extra money set aside, because what tends to happen is that we retire, we're healthy, we're fine, and then those last few years of life is really when we need a lot of healthcare help. And Social Security it's not built to cover that. It really is built just to cover your living expenses. So having supplemental savings and also supplemental health insurance, perhaps long-term care insurance, these are the sorts of things that you want to start thinking about when you're in your 50s, well before you're even retired. So that's something it's a little bit beyond the scope of this webinar, but something definitely to take a note on if you're concerned about healthcare. So it's not just how long your family members lived, but how healthy were they while they were alive? How healthy are you today? These are things that it's part of the financial planning process to consider. Now, navigating the Social Security benefits situation is a little bit complicated, but they've made it easier by bringing the application process online. And in fact, at this point, they also want everyone, it's required, to receive electronic payments for their Social Security checks. And I think this is a really good thing just from an efficiency point of view. It's just like most of us probably get direct deposit on our paychecks, so we're used to having that check deposited every single pay period. Now with Social Security, you can do the exact same thing. You can go online, apply for your benefits. There's always a toll-free number that you can call to have somebody help navigate the process with you, or get a grandchild or a child or someone to sit down with you at that point. And then you sign up for electronic payments through a different website called godirect.org. It's relatively simple to navigate, so you should be able to figure that one out. You just need to have a canceled check that you can use to put in the correct account information so that it gets to the right place. Now, when you're applying for Social Security, you might have various benefits that are available to you. If you've worked, you might have your own benefit. If you're married, you might have that person's benefit. If you're divorced, you might have an ex-husband's benefit. So when you go on to apply, the people who help you determine to process the application will see all of that, and they will make sure every time you will get the highest possible benefit for you. So don't be afraid to investigate those different options. They're there to help you. They want you to get the highest benefit. This is not something where they're trying to keep the money away from you, and it can be a little bit confusing. Now, I actually want to ask everyone if anyone who's listening has created a strategy to maximize your Social Security benefits. So we'll throw up the last poll question here. And I'm curious to know whether or not anyone who's listening is already receiving Social Security benefits, or if you have a plan for when it is time to apply, or if it's just so confusing you can't even begin to make your way through the Social Security, all of the information out there, and there really is quite a bit of information. So hopefully someone's going to throw up the poll question for us here so we can answer that. I will try to do it. Okay, there we go. There's the poll question. So have you created a strategy to maximize your Social Security benefits? Boy, that's a real tongue twister that I should have thought about that. Okay, so quite a few people who are listening are already receiving Social Security benefits. Great. And then we've got quite a few people who in the next few years will be at that stage of life, so that's very good. And we've got some very organized people who've already created a plan, so that's good to hear too. It's really all over the place there. It's very interesting. So good. Well, hopefully we can walk through some of the strategies here. And I'm trying. You guys are asking so many good questions. This is great. I'm trying to read them, but there's so many at this point. And I see a lot about divorce. So you guys I love that you're like having conversations over here. I have a whole section to focus on the divorce situation because it is a little bit more complicated and obviously very important to figure out. Separate from that though, we'll get to that shortly. If you're ready to retire and you're trying to figure out your benefit, if you're going to claim your spouse's benefits rather than your own benefits, that your spouse, currently married, not divorced, has to apply for Social Security benefits before you can claim your spousal benefits, which is about half of what they qualify for. Now, this is probably a strategy that a lot of people have heard of. This is highly recommended. Your spouse can claim benefits at any age, right? And then decide to suspend their benefits until age 70. So if they file and claim the benefits, but then say, okay, just kidding, postpone it for me, they've already filed at that point, and so you as the spouse are able to take your spousal benefits, even though they postpone until age 70. This is one of the best strategies for married couples to do, because that way you can start receiving Social Security, especially if you're already retired or haven't been working, and if your spouse is working or if they're not. It's a good way to supplement your own personal income during that sort of transition time. And if you qualify for your own personal benefits, you can always claim your spousal benefits early and then change your mind later at 66 when you get to be full retirement age. At that point, you could start claiming your personal benefits, or even at age 70, and you guys could both postpone until age 70. So again, there's a lot of different ways that you can find out what your highest benefit is. But like I said, the Social Security Department, they want to make sure that you get the highest benefit. So they're going to help you navigate that process. But before you start going and claiming or just waiting until age 70, you really do need to understand how to maximize it for you, especially if you're married. So the Social Security Administration really does actually have good information for that. If you go to socialsecurity.gov/women, there's a lot that you can learn there, whether you're married, divorced, widowed, young, almost at retirement age. There's a lot of information there. So hopefully that's making sense on the strategy for married couples, and we can certainly touch on that again if you guys have further questions about it. Now, here's the good news, however. If you are divorced, you do not need your ex-spouse to claim benefits to find out whether or not you can take them. You do need to have been married for 10 years. So that is the only qualifying factor there. Beginning at age 62, even if you haven't worked for your entire career, as long as you were married for 10 years to your ex-spouse, beginning at age 62 up until age 70, you can claim spousal benefits for that person. Now, interestingly, it doesn't matter if they had 6 wives at different times. If they've been married multiple times, all for 10 years, you will all qualify for spousal benefits. Okay, so this is a really important thing. The government is not going to leave you, to your own devices at this point. Now, it does change, however, if you have remarried. So if you do remarry, you no longer will qualify for your ex-spouse's benefits. At that point, you will qualify for spousal benefits with your current partner. And it's possible those benefits might be higher, they might be lower. Now, I'm actually myself not totally sure what happens if you remarry and then get divorced. I think at that point, if you're single and divorced, you can go back to claiming a previous ex-spouse's Social Security, but that would be a really good question to find out if it applies to anyone specifically. It's a little bit of a special situation, but it could certainly happen. So again, your ex-spouse doesn't need to communicate with you. You don't need to find out if they've qualified for Social Security on their own yet. All you have to do is know that at age 62, that's when you are able to go and claim your benefits. Again, go back to that chart, and I'd still say that I'd recommend that you wait until age 66 or age 70 if possible, but it's not dependent on whether or not your ex-spouse is collecting Social Security themselves. If you start claiming Social Security and you're still working, your benefits will be reduced while you're working, but once you officially retire, your benefit amount will go back to the full amount that it would have been at the age that you claimed Social Security benefits. So it'll be reduced by $1 or $2. It's a complicated calculation, so you would need to use your Social Security account online to find out exactly how your benefit would be impacted. And this would apply whether you're working, part-time, full-time, whatever. So if you need the Social Security to supplement your income that you have and your savings, by all means do it, but just be aware that it is going to be reduced. You won't get that full amount if you're still working. And socialsecurity.gov/planners is a very helpful site with lots of calculators and tools so that you can do these sorts of things before you even get to age 62. And I would really recommend that everyone go and visit that website and play around with your specific situation so that you can know, should I keep working? Should I claim my ex-spouse's benefit? Should I claim my personal benefit? Should my husband and I create the strategy where he files and then suspends it? All of that sort of thing will be available to you through socialsecurity.gov/planners. Now, moving on to the divorce questions, which obviously a lot of people need to understand how this will work for them. The qualifications for receiving, like I sort of already touched on, your ex-spouse's Social Security benefit is you really have to be married for 10 years or longer. And this is something, honestly, for those of you who are listening, if you're young, if you are currently married, if you're considering divorce in the back of your head, if you're just good information to be aware of, that 10-year mark is really, really important. So if you've already gotten to that point, if you are divorced, then you'll be able to qualify for the benefits. But But again, you have to not be married now. If you are remarried, you will qualify for that person's spousal benefits. Your ex-spouse will still receive their benefit totally separate from you. So if you start collecting your Social Security, it's not going to impact their situation whatsoever. Even if they are remarried, even if, like I said, they had multiple wives who they were married to and divorced from after 10 years. The one key, though, this is the tricky part. You have to have your ex-spouse's Social Security number. So make sure you find that. Look for it sooner rather than later. Keep it somewhere safe because it's going to be imperative that you have that. And that's one of the main things to be aware of. Otherwise, everything is sort of the same. I mean, your Social Security benefit, you come at it from different angles, either from working yourself, from being married, whatever, but the way that it works is relatively consistent. It's just a matter of going through the application process. Now, a widow is a little bit different. When you become a widow, or if you do become a widow, generally speaking, you will receive 100% of the worker's benefit when you reach full retirement age. So now that means if you're currently married, you qualify for spousal benefits. If your partner passes away, then you no longer qualify for the spouse's benefits, you're getting the full benefit that they were getting. So here's how that works. When you're married and both people are alive, the worker is getting their full benefit, and then you're getting an additional 50% basically as the spouse. So you guys combined are getting about 150% of the worker's Social Security benefit. When the worker passes away and you're no longer collecting the spousal benefit, you're collecting the worker's benefit, you will see a decline in your monthly benefit. Now this works both ways too. For men, if their wife passes away, you're no longer getting the spousal benefit check every month. So when one of you passes away, there will be a decrease in monthly income from Social Security, and this is unavoidable. So it's important to understand that and to plan ahead for it. So if both of you being alive, receiving worker and spousal benefits, is maintaining your lifestyle, you have to be ready to change that lifestyle if you'll no longer be able to afford it when the Social Security check changes. Now, the amount that you receive as a widow can vary depending on your age, like if you're younger than age 62. If you remarry, that will also change your Social Security benefit. And in fact, you find a lot of retired people who are both widows that don't remarry because it would impact their Social Security benefit. They might be living together, or there's this legal consideration that once you become married, now you're seen as an entity by the Social Security Administration, and they're going to treat you guys as spouses, regardless of your prior marriages or prior Social Security checks. So this stuff can change. Now, if you have children under the age of 16, you can receive benefits for them as well. And this is a relatively specific situation, so I didn't want to get too deep into the details because I don't want to lose the rest of the viewers here tonight. But if you are a woman who is a widow who has children under the age of 16, definitely go and create an account online at the Social Security Administration to find out, what sort of benefit you can qualify for. So I'm not going to go much further into that unless we have a bunch of questions specifically dedicated to that. Oh, and I should mention, again, if you go to, this is the short URL, ssa.gov/people/women, you will find all of the specific information broken down for you, whether you're divorced, whether you're a widow, regardless of your age. So I really recommend going to that website as well. And I've actually got it here. Another way to get to the same information is socialsecurity.gov/women. And, like I said at the beginning, Social Security is incredibly important to women. 2/3 of us are the beneficiaries when we get to retirement age. So that means we really need to understand this. And from a financial literacy perspective, a lot of women are less likely to invest their money. We earn less over our lifetime. We're more likely to live alone at some point, whether we're divorced or widowed. And anyone who's tuned in tonight, I hope that this just sort of gets your brain going a little bit. Check out the tools, create an account, take a look at your 401k statement, take a look at your long-term care insurance, all of these sorts of things. There's really no time that's too early